record. Okay. Or you could simply, or could you simply not resist giving me the correct time again? Last time I played, I was given the chance of, they told me I could set it for my favorite time if I wanted to. I set it for the current time. After all, I know how much you enjoy setting the time correctly. Okay, now I'm curious, is 1 a.m. actually your, let's use another slider to find out. That's technically 101 by this point. I feel like I'm learning more about you and how you like things to be set. It's good to collect data. I wish we had more sliders, but we've gone through all the sliders I have. Perhaps I can invent new sliders to gather new data on you. Shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, let me whip a couple new ones up. Should be ready next time you boot the game up. Oh god, now I'm afraid to ask. Alright. I'm actually kind of annoyed right now because I just got done playing. I try to keep my sessions down to a half-hour playtime to record them, so I have half-hour sessions to upload into videos. And we hit a spot where, I don't know, I was 20 minutes in, and it's like, narrator's like, yeah, the only way to beat the game is to shut off your PlayStation. So I shut the PlayStation off real quick, thinking there was going to be an in-game gimmick when I load the game back up. And I forgot to save the recording because I'm recording it on my PlayStation. Yeah, I'm such a dumbass sometimes. So this is technically my third half-hour playthrough of it.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
I should just recreate the decisions I made last time.
427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in
a
room
little bit less exploring
427 and he pushed buttons
I already know
on the keyboard.
where everything is.
Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day, every month of every year.
Before I
although
killed the
others
game.
might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
I did last time, and remember hit save before I'm done. And before I
all of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Oh, no, one of the things I did was...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Although Stanley does need to learn to watch where he's walking.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Yeah, good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
So then I started doing it correctly, as the game wants you to. until I hit
All of
the
his
option
co-workers
for
were
escape.
gone. What could it mean? Stanley
Which
decided to go to the meeting room.
Gave us
Perhaps he
a
had
nice,
simply missed a
tour
memo.
of some of the behind-the-scenes stuff.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's
I
office.
think I also did one where I went down. Yeah, I went down.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken
I asked
that
this last
risk?
time, but how
All
did this
because
car
he
get in here?
believed everyone
There's
had vanished.
not room
His
for it
boss would
anywhere.
think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy.
Yes, these
All of
rooms
my
are repeating
co-workers
themselves.
blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange
true. You can't
observations.
see his feet.
For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down?
Ancient
Why did
CRT
doors
monitors.
close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply
69
repeating?
HZ 27C.
No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue.
One,
He
two,
just
three,
hadn't
four.
found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream.
That's got. I know that's got to
What
mean
a
something.
relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of
this
them all
voice?
entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be
No,
fine.
no, you're not.
I am okay. Stanley began screaming. "Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I?" And everything went black.
This is a story of a woman named Mariella.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Loading. Alright, I gotta mute for a second. I got a sneeze coming.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Are kicking my butt
Stanley
today.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ooh, room 420.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it
pushy.
didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Like 13 minutes out of the half hour I've given myself to go with this, so. Alright, so.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief,
So the
Stanley
previous time I
decided
went
to go
down,
up to his
so
boss's
I'll go
office,
up.
hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase,
And
Stanley
again,
walked upstairs to his
already
boss's office.
Been through this particular ending.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in
pixelated
disbelief
picture
who
faces.
orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him?
22,
What he could not have
4,
known
5.
was that the keypad
remember.
behind the boss's desk guarded the
22, 8,
terrible
5.
truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And
Okay,
so the
4, 5.
boss had assigned it an extra secret
I do
pin
that every
number.
time.
2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly
I could go
opened
there right
passageway.
down. Do. Loading.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question
Alright,
would
so-
not go unanswered for long.
So, in my lost footage, I went down
Stanley
the
walked
escape
straight ahead
path,
through the large
so
door that
I'm
read
gonna go
Mind
that way,
Control
recreate it.
Facility.
Escape.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, The truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his
Or would
violent
he?
death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to
Yes,
walk forward
he is.
and willingly confront his death.
Crunch.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Yep. Female narrator.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly. And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
So, this is some of the behind-the-scenes stuff.
When every path you can walk
basic
has
layout
been
of
created for you long in
Stanley's
advance,
office.
death becomes meaningless, making life the
area.
same. Do
all
you
the way
see
up to the
now?
point where you
Do you
split
see that
paths.
Stanley was already dead from the moment he
Take
hit
a quick
start?
look at some of the doors and shit. Alright, so we're going to step in here and take a quick look at the credits. The Office. The Lounge. Oh, I don't think I saw this last time. The Underground. I didn't take this path. Narration outtakes.
Let's see. Stanley walked through
I
the
guess I
green
didn't really
door.
miss much. So we're going to turn around and go the other direction real quick.
Now look.
This is what the boss's off, all the different designs for the boss's office. How to make a JRPG, how to make the worst game ever. What's the difference between a duck? select option. You can depend on how you enter. Okay. Interesting. I might have to look next time I go into the event. I might have to look around for. Okay. Alright, yeah, this one I saw last time as well. The Z ending. I'm not sure what the Z ending is, but okay. See here, wow. 21.5 minutes in. Oh, and that's back to the office. Okay, so we're going to go back this way. Have I seen all the? Have I shown you guys all this yet? The different layouts for Stanley's office. I'm pretty sure the layout of the office you start with is random. Although you spend like 3/8 of a second in there at the beginning of the game, I'm not sure why they spent that much time on it. But they did, so here, I suppose we should just appreciate it.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another.
Oops.
How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
Alright, so here.
But listen to me.
Here's where
you can still save these
last
two.
time.
You can stop the program before they both
they're
fail.
telling you to turn off the PlayStation.
Turn off your
I did
PlayStation.
last time.
There's no other way to.
And it did nothing other than
As long as
cost
you
my
move forward, you'll be walking someone
save,
else's
cost
path.
all that.
Stop now, and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do,
So,
choose it. Don't
I
let
let
time
you-
choose for you. Don't let time.
That took a few seconds longer than I would have hoped. Alright. How long do I got? 7 minutes. I can get another one done in 7 minutes, maybe, depending on how long it is.
All of his co-workers were gone.
I've gotten
What
3
could
in the
it
last
mean?
20 minutes, so
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
we're gonna
Perhaps
go
he
to
had
the
simply
lounge
missed a
and look for
memo.
that vent.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes. This
I'm not
room.
seeing a vent.
What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having experienced this room was now too horrible even to
It
consider.
showed the vent being on this side of the wall.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at
maybe I
these
haven't
chairs
done
and some
whatever I need to do
paintings.
to spawn the vent
Really
yet.
worth it.
So, yeah, I haven't
But
done that
eager
yet.
to get back
so
to
might as
business,
well.
Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the
taking
maintenance
the
section,
elevator.
walked straight
Just
ahead
the
to the
edge.
opposite door, and got back on track. But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go,
So that means we gotta go right.
from here it's, left.
Or not. Okay.
Oh, no. No, it's to the right. My mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking?
Okay.
It's clearly...
Smartass.
Oh, dear. Would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down
Up,
right,
up, down,
left,
left, right,
down,
left, right, VA,
left,
select start.
right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This
Oh,
story is
too long to
absolutely,
go.
definitely this way.
No? Okay, shocker. Oh, yeah.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley,
Well,
close your
poison
eyes.
fired.
Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't
now.
wander so far off track, Okay. From the top.
3 minutes. I think I'm gonna go ahead and call that here. 27 minutes is long enough for a video for this. Give or take whatever my editing puts me at. So, yeah. Thank you for joining me for part 2. Keep an eye out for part 3. If I can find my mouse. There it is.